What's up, guys? So back with you. Better Off Dead Monday, June 2nd. Not a good start to June, obviously, with a 2-4 day yesterday after I think we did have a winning May. I'd have to go back and look. Maybe it was not a winning day. I don't even know. Yesterday, the WNBA play, honestly, I think should have been a win. The LA Sparks, I mean, they were up double digits at the end of the first quarter. Many such cases, really. And they actually won the second quarter as well. They were up 13 at the half, I'm pretty sure. And I think they were up 19 late in the second quarter as well. And they had a horrific second half, lost the game. Phoenix shot like 42% from three-point range, and that was pretty much the difference in the game. Should have been a win for LA. I'm kind of sick of these WNBA teams having monster leads early in the game and then completely blowing them, but I still think my gauge on the WNBA is good, so we will continue to do so. There are no games on the slate tonight. I'm going to have at least one play on tomorrow's WNBA slate, which I'll tell you right now, it is going to be the Indiana Fever in a revenge spot. I'll talk about it more tomorrow, but you can go check that out. Tomorrow's show is going to be a lot longer than this one because today all we have is MLB, and it's a short MLB card, but I like that because you get to focus more. So I'm going to give out two Major League Baseball plays today on the small baseball card that we got going on Monday. Let's jump right into it, man. Actually, let me get the comment here. David, what's up, man? Thanks for coming back after I was a dick yesterday, probably. Or no, that wasn't you. That was Jameson, right? I don't even know. I apologize, man. My mind is all over the place right now. All right. Colorado is at Miami here, and I mean, you're almost never going to see Miami being this heavy of a favorite. It's, of course, because they're playing a historically bad Colorado Rockies team who still doesn't even have 10 wins yet, I don't think. They actually have played a number of close games, though, that have resulted in losses. They've had a lot of close losses. And I told you yesterday, I thought there might be some value in a plus 2.5 run line in their game yesterday against the Mets, and they did actually cover that, losing by 2. Colorado's at Miami. Miami's up from minus 155 to minus 191. I don't know what triggered a move like that unless there was like a pitching change. But it looks like some of the legit money is actually on Miami here. 58% of tickets, 59% of the cash. I would not want to lay a price like this on Miami personally. I mean, their offense is almost as bad as Colorado's. So an under actually might make sense in this game. And I'll explain that in a second. But it's the totals dropped from 8.5 to 8, basically 85% of tickets and only 73% of the cash on the over. I mean, both these teams have bad offenses, so that's kind of where you start here. I don't think either bullpen got really that used yesterday, so the bullpen situation is probably about as okay as you would expect for teams that just played yesterday. German Marquez is pitching for Colorado, and yeah, I know he's been awful. 7.13 ERA, 1.64 whip, but recently, he actually hasn't been as bad. Like 3 of his last 4 starts have actually been quality starts. And the only bad one was against a tough Arizona lineup, and all 4 of these games were against good lineups. San Diego, Arizona, Philadelphia, Cubs. So he's actually in better form right now than he has been throughout the season. 17-7 strikeout walk ratio, and a 4.61 ERA in the month of May. And up against Miami, let me see. I don't think Miami has that much of a history against them. Let me see. Have to always switch the team when we transition to Monday. Yeah, so Miami only has 3 batters that have seen him before. They're only 1 for 5 off him, although it is a home run from Sanchez. But 2 strikeouts, 200 batting average, 1,000 OPS for Miami, and most of their hitters haven't seen him before. So Marquez actually might do okay in this game against a weaker offense. He's actually in decent form right now. His road ERA is terrible this year, though, so that's something to keep in mind. It's kind of crazy that his ERA in Coors Field is 4.44 and his road ERA is 5 runs higher at 9.42. But again, he is facing a weak lineup here, and he's up against Max Meyer, who I think is a lot better than what he's been doing recently. I mean, he started off really hot and then has been pretty bad for a little bit now, but I think he's going to return to form at some point because he is a good pitcher. 4.53 ERA, 1.36 whip. Those aren't good numbers. He had a good outing 2 outings ago against a good Cubs team, and then last outing was really bad again at a pitcher-friendly park in San Diego. But San Diego's hitting is pretty good, and he didn't strike out anybody in that game either, which is a little bit of cause for alarm. Month of May, 6.31 ERA, 16-8 strikeout walk ratio. Yeah, none of that is very good. But I do think Meyer probably is going to return to form at some point. I mean, he's a young guy with good stuff, and he may return to form here because he's up against a Rockies offense that might be the worst in baseball, and they're really terrible on the road. They're only 2 for 13 off of Meyer lifetime. Arcia does have a home run off him, but other than that, not a whole lot going on. A 154 average and 651 OPS. So if I were to try to get involved in that game, it would be an under. Red Sox, my Boston Red Sox, got a win yesterday. Garrett Crochet pitching. I mean, the Red Sox are so bad that they haven't even been winning behind Crochet very often, but they were able to do it yesterday because Crochet was so good, and then the bullpen was able to hold on against the Braves. They did have to use Chapman yesterday, who actually has been surprisingly good, even though he's old. He's actually been one of the bright spots for the Red Sox. So some of their offseason acquisitions have actually been fairly good, but this team, they need leadership, man. I mean, that's really the problem, I think, at this point. They don't have leadership, and they don't have, like, a real veteran presence there, which also kind of goes to leadership. Like, they don't have leadership as far as, like, management is concerned, but they also don't have leadership, like, in the clubhouse. It's a problem. Talent-wise, they're not that bad of a team, although they lack talent pitching-wise, of course. But the Red Sox got the win. They got kind of revenge against the Braves by winning a series against the Braves. They are returning home now, so I always talk about when you return home from a road trip, a lot of times you fall into like a distracted situation where you have to get back to family life. It's not really the greatest spot for them, especially they're coming off a decent series where they won the series, so it could be a little bit of a letdown as well against a pretty bad Anaheim team that I don't know is really going to have the Red Sox full focus here. Anaheim, they're traveling in from Cleveland, so they're in the middle of a road trip. They did just lose the last 2 games. Anaheim might have a little bit more focus here. I mean, you're on the road. You're going to Fenway Park. Your home distractions aren't there, at least. You're coming off a loss. So the spot sets up better for Anaheim. I don't really think the starting pitching matchup favors Anaheim, though. Tyler Anderson is pitching. I know his numbers look good, 3.39 ERA, 1.21 whip. He's one of the prime regression candidates that I've identified, though, and it's starting to happen, I think, as he did have 2 pretty bad starts, but it was against the Dodgers and then at this A's park that is really hitter-friendly. But he walked 6 guys in that game, so it wasn't really the home runs that hurt him in that game, so I don't think he's really pitching that well right now. He did have a good outing against the Yankees, but overall hasn't been great over the past month. 19-10 strikeout walk ratio, 4.28 ERA. Is that what that was? Yeah. So he's not really at his best right now. Against the Red Sox, his numbers are decent in 42 at bats, 262 average, 362 would be awful. 262, 692 OPS, not terrible numbers. Devers definitely does some damage off him, 3 for 7 with a home run. Anderson has been okay against them. I don't know if we should trust him, though, and he has been significantly worse on the road. 2.34 home ERA this year, 4.78 on the road. So I don't really love Anderson in the spot here. And the Red Sox have Dick Fitz pitching. If the Dick fits, of course. He's been good for the Red Sox. 2.7 ERA, 1.1 whip. I know it's a small sample size. I think he pitched a little bit last year as well, if I remember correctly. He's a young guy, and he's been pretty good, man. I mean, hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start, and both of those were 6-inning performances. He's drifted off a little bit where he hasn't gone as many innings in the last couple of starts. I don't really know why that is, or maybe he might have come out of the bullpen in one of those. I'm not really sure, but he really hasn't been bad. 15-6 strikeout walk ratio is fine. Fewer than 1 hit per inning, fine. I mean, he's got decent stuff. He's decent enough, and I believe Anaheim has never seen him before. So for these young pitchers that have decent stuff, that's usually a little bit of an extra advantage because the hitters have to take a little while to figure him out. So I don't love Anaheim's starting pitching matchup here, and I don't love Anaheim's bullpen, as they're one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball right now. So the pitching matchup, like matchup-wise, this doesn't look good for Anaheim. The spot isn't very good for the Red Sox, though. So when we have kind of conflicting situational aspects like that, I just stay away So I will stay away from that one. The money looks like it is coming in on Anaheim fairly strongly, though the Red Sox down from -150 to -148. 65% of the tickets on the Red Sox. I mean, the public, they like the name, the Red Sox, and they really like to fade bad teams like Anaheim. So I think that's what's going on there. And 66% of the cash, though, is coming in on Anaheim. So I do think the actual money does appear to be coming in on the Anaheim side here. So, again, market read says Anaheim. I don't really agree with it. We'll see what happens in that game. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I'm going to keep the fundraiser up for a bit. I mean, stuff might like trickle in. Obviously, the peak of it is over, but I'm trying to milk it a little bit. I mean, you know, I like milking, man. All right, let's, and I don't mean dicks. I mean titties. All right, let's go to Milwaukee, Cincinnati. Cincinnati is also returning home from a road trip. It was probably the least of all these road trips, though, as far as like how long it was and how far they traveled, as they only went to Kansas City and Chicago. So they are returning home from that, but they are coming off a big series against the Cubs, big divisional series. However, they did lose the series to the Cubs. So take from all that what you will. Is that going to result in a hangover spot? I don't really know, because they really didn't play well the last two games. One of the games they didn't score, and then the other game they were down for most of the game, just tried to catch up, and it didn't happen. So I don't think it's the worst return home spot for Cincinnati. And this is another big divisional matchup where they're playing against Milwaukee, who has been one of the teams that's been towards the top of this division most recent years. So I don't think Cincinnati's going to really fall into that typical home distraction spot. I mean, when you have one of the better teams of your division coming into your place, you're not really going to be unfocused, in my opinion. So I don't think it's really that bad of a spot for Cincinnati here. I think the spot is worse for Milwaukee. I mean, they're just on a roll right now. They're coming off back-to-back sweeps of Boston and Philadelphia. They swept Philadelphia on the road and actually kind of dominated the series, which is crazy. They wrecked Luzardo in the series. I mean, it's really kind of insane. Not really an expected result there. They did get lucky kind of with the way the matchup set up in the first game, though, because remember, Philadelphia had played 2 games the day before that, and Milwaukee was off the day before that. So that situational setup was really nice for Milwaukee, but still pretty surprising they swept the series. So, yes, they're a train right now. They've won 7 games in a row. You don't really want to step in front of that, but it might not be the best spot for them right now. It could be a bit of a letdown spot after a real high, beating a really good team like the Phillies, sweeping them in their own house. Might not be the best spot for Milwaukee here. They got Savali pitching, and he has not really done much this season. He's only made 3 starts so far. He has a 6 ERA and 1.25 whip. I mean, his ERA is obviously not going to remain that high. He had one really bad start against the Yankees, which was his first start of the season, and it was against a good hitting opponent. So I think you can kind of give him a pass for that. And he's actually improved every start, so he is trending in the right direction here. But how good is he really? I don't know, because his 2 worst starts were both on the road, and he is on the road here. His one good start was at home against my Boston Red Sox, who just really have not been playing well. So he does have bad home road splits right now towards the road, with a 9 ERA on the road, 1.8 home ERA. But again, it is a very small sample size, so there's not really much you can really take away from that. But he is having to go to Cincinnati, which is a hitter-friendly park. We'll see what happens with that. Against Cincinnati, though, in his career, he actually does have good numbers. In 24 at-bats, a 208 average, 671 OPS. He has a lot of home run to steer. But other than that, pretty good numbers in his career against Cincinnati. I didn't check to see how many of those, or like what percentage of those numbers are actually at Cincinnati, at Great American Ballpark. So, because I wasn't going to play this game, so I just didn't dive deeper into it. Brady Singer is pitching for the Reds. His numbers on the season aren't very good. 4.6 ERA, 1.33 whip, but his career stats kind of indicate that he's going to get better than this. And I don't think it's really the pitching in Great American Ballpark that's hurting him here, because, yeah, it's a hitter-friendly ballpark, but he's actually been way better at home with a 3.29 home ERA and 5.74 on the road. And significant opponent batting average differences, too. 151 at home and 313 on the road. So you do want to get Singer at home, and that's where he is here. His last 3 outings have actually been fairly decent. He's got 5 innings in all of them, allowed 3 or fewer runs in all 3 of them. So he's kind of trending in the right direction, although I do worry that in the last month he has a 13-11 strikeout walk ratio, so the walks have still been a problem at a 6.39 ERA over that span. But prior to that, he was actually pitching really well up until May, so I do expect he's going to return to form a little bit. I mean, his career numbers tell you that he probably should. He was pretty decent for the most part for Kansas City. He had a bad 2023, though, kind of inexplicably, but 2022 and 2024 were both all right for him. A whip too high last year, though, but still, I think he's better than what his numbers suggest so far this year. Up against Milwaukee, let me see. His numbers are actually not bad either. In 45 at-bats, 244 average, 676 OPS. So what do we do with a game like this? Well, I mean, it looks like both pitchers actually have an okay matchup here. I would not want to really go under here. I mean, the total is high for a reason because we are at Great America Ballpark, although the public definitely likes the over. 81% of tickets coming in on the over, especially after Milwaukee scored a lot of runs in that Philly series. Only 58% of the cash. So the over is very, very public, so I would not want the over here either. As far as the side, the percentage is on Cincinnati. I mean, that's probably the best lean in this game. I wouldn't want to play it, but Cincinnati's down from -120 to -115, but 53% of tickets and 74% of the cash right now in Cincinnati. And like I said, I think Milwaukee is in a letdown spot, so that would probably be the way that I would lean in that game, would be to the Cincinnati side. Detroit is going to the White Sox here. Detroit's coming off a win over the Kansas City Royals, which, oh, I forgot to mention that game. That was one of the plays that I lost yesterday, right? The Kansas City Royals. Oh, I forgot to talk about yesterday, right? I talked about the Sparks, and I didn't talk about everything else yesterday. Let me go through it real quick. St. Louis, Texas under, that was a bullshit loss. I mean, that game was 2-1 into the 7th inning, and it was 3-1 in the 8th inning. And then it was just a complete unraveling by St. Louis's bullpen against a Texas offense that has been miserable this year. Texas's offense still put up 8 more runs in the final 2 innings or something. Absolutely ridiculous. The first 5 under would have worked in that game. Anaheim and Cleveland did not go over, unfortunately. Gavin Williams, he still walked a bunch of guys, but he only gave up 1 hit. It was just very inexplicable because Kohanowitz was as bad as expected. It was just that Anaheim's offense did absolutely nothing, even with Trout in there against Williams. I don't really get it, but that's what happened there. Kansas City, I mean, that was an unfortunate 1-0 loser, as we see here, but Bubic actually outpitched Montero. Montero walked a bunch of guys. I think he didn't even get through 5 innings, yet he didn't allow any runs. I think he allowed 7 hits in 4 innings or something. He put a bunch of guys on base, and Kansas City, their offense sucked so bad that they just couldn't score any of them. They were terrible with runners on base yesterday, and they didn't get any runs across. Absolutely unbelievable because Bubic certainly held up his end of the bargain and pitched really well. Absolutely shocking that Kansas City scored nothing off of Montero. Didn't even go 5 innings. Bubic outpitched him, lasted significantly longer in the game, and Detroit's bullpen didn't give up anything either. Unbelievable. Houston, which I thought was kind of the weakest play, actually did get there. The Astros, they scored 1 run in the entire game, and it was in the first 5 innings, and they won 1-0. So I was right about the Hunter Brown bounce back, I'm pretty sure. So that one was a winner, and Arizona D-backs was a winner as well, as they did get there, winning 3-1, I think. So it was good enough. Burns was good, got the win there. So Arizona did get the win. So that was the 2-4 result yesterday, including the WNBA game I talked about earlier. All right, back to Detroit and the White Sox here. Want to try to get this done in fairly quick fashion. So Detroit is coming off a pretty big winning series after they swept San Francisco. Now they're coming off beating Kansas City as well. Going to the White Sox, and it's pretty easy to overlook the White Sox, man, because they're the one non-competitive team in the AL Central, at least record-wise, although they actually have been more competitive than their record would suggest. Detroit going in there, they got Jack Flaherty on the mound here. He's been decent this year, 3.94 ERA, 1.11 whip is actually pretty good. He's in good form over the last 3 starts, going at least 5 2/3 in all 3 of them, allowing 3 or fewer in all 3. 3 or fewer runs. 34-8 strikeout walk ratio in May is good, although somehow a 4.67 ERA because he allowed 6 home runs, but most of it is in one really inexplicably bad outing where he gave up 4 home runs to Texas. So that seems like a little bit of an outlier at this point. Up against the White Sox, Flaherty does have good numbers in 53 at-bats, 20-1 strikeout walk ratio, 151 average allowed, 450 OPS. So Flaherty has actually dominated the White Sox. Jonathan Cannon is opposing him for the White Sox, 4.15 ERA, 1.35 whip. He was rolling along nicely, and he had a kind of a road bump against the Mets. But, I mean, the Mets are a pretty good hitting team. He gave up some runs against the Cubs as well, but he's pitched 4 straight road starts, and he actually hasn't done that bad overall. Month of May, 19-1 strikeout walk ratio. So his command has been really good. I didn't walk any in the previous 4 starts. 3.77 ERA overall in the month of May. He's actually pitching not badly. I mean, again, he's not walking guys. He is getting hit a little bit too hard, though. At least he's allowing too many hits, but still, he's been a serviceable pitcher pretty much. And up against Detroit in his career, his numbers are bad, though, so that's kind of the problem. In 48 at-bats, he's allowed 3 home runs. Carpenter is 4 for 7 with 2 home runs off him, so player prop potential there. And Keith, 4 for 7 with a home run. Overall, 10-9 strikeout walk ratio, not good. 333 average, 1,001 OPS. So Cannon hasn't been good against Detroit, but he is pitching a bit better this season than he has before. Detroit is laying a minus 200 price here on the road, so even though, yes, Flaherty does dominate the White Sox historically, I don't think there's any way you can lay a price like this on Detroit on the road. I think probably the way to look at this game is actually maybe the under, even though I know Detroit had to use more of their bullpen yesterday because Montero doesn't go deep into games, so they kind of knew it was going to be a bullpen game. Detroit's bullpen is pretty good, though, and the White Sox offense stinks. The issue is when we get to the White Sox bullpen, are they going to give it up against Detroit? I don't know. A first 5-inning under might make more sense in this game if you think both starting pitchers might do okay. Although Cannon, again, his numbers historically haven't been good against Detroit. But if you put more weight in the fact that he's been a little bit better this year, maybe an under does make sense. 67% of the tickets on the over, but only 62% of the cash on the over. So do with all that information what you will. The next 2 games, 2 of the last 3 are going to be the plays that I have. I'm going to do 2 run line plays that are both split plays. One's an underdog, one's a favorite. First one is going to be an underdog on San Diego. I'm going to say split half the bet on the plus 1.5 run line, which you have to pay about minus 140 for, and then the other half of the bet on the plus 150 money line. Since they're an underdog, if you want to just play the money line, basically like just to win the amount that you normally play, like any bet to win. So essentially, like, I'll clarify again, I'm not actually betting these games right now because I'm trying to conserve money, and I know I haven't done well over the last week. I apologize for that. I was hot for a little while, but it's been bad recently. But the way that I would do it when I was betting is that every bet that I make is to win like 300. So if you're playing on just a money line underdog, then you're betting less money to win that 300, if that makes sense. So I could see doing it that way and just playing the straight up money line, just going balls to the wall for San Diego to win the game. If you're a little bit more, I guess, risk averse, I don't even know if this has to do with risk averse, like being with what is it? Averseness? I don't even know what the word is there. But if you have less risk tolerance, maybe it makes sense to do it this way, where if they lose the game but come within 1 run, you'll still win a small amount on the bet if you play it this way. And again, like I said yesterday, playing the split bet like this is a favorite, at least, even though I know this is an underdog. But in the same case as the underdog, you can play it at different books if you have multiple books available. So you can actually find the best available number on the run line and the best available number on the money line, and they might be at different books because they're separate markets. So that kind of opens you up to getting maybe a little bit more value out of it, which I completely forgot about because I was playing the -1 run lines a lot earlier this year. But you can kind of essentially make your own -1 run line on the favorites by doing a split bet like this, which I'll talk about in the next game in a minute. So you basically know what I'm playing in the next game. But in this game, So you would have to lay, so the way that I would do this is I would lay whatever the price is, probably about probably close to 200 to win, or 200 something to win 150 on the minus 140 price on the plus 1.5, and then less than 150 on the money line to win 150, if that makes sense. So the split bet, each half of it is to win 150. So the amount that you actually pay in is about the same as what you would be paying in if you bet on a normal game, like on the spread, basically. Of course, you're going to put less money at risk, though, if you just bet the money line here, but there's less of a chance that you win any money on it, if that makes sense, because you'll need them to win outright to do that. But if you are making a bet on them, you are basically saying you think they have a good chance to win the game outright. And I do here. San Francisco, I just think it's a bad situational spot. They're returning home from a road trip, which, as I pointed out repeatedly, is a distracted spot. Although, granted, yes, San Diego is ahead of them in the standings right now after a hot start for San Francisco. I do think San Francisco's not as good as San Diego or LA, though. So, well, of course, not better than LA. But I think San Francisco's hot start was a little bit misleading. And Arizona, actually, I think is better than they look as well. Their bullpen is just bad. Their pitching has been bad. So San Francisco has way better pitching than Arizona. So we'll see there. But all four of these teams are actually really competitive. But I do think San Francisco looked a little bit better than they actually are early in the season. They are returning home from a road trip, having to come back from the East Coast here. It was a long 3-series road trip. So I think it's a bad spot for San Francisco, even though, yes, they should be focused on San Diego. But, again, having to fly cross-country with no days off, it's not an easy thing to do. You do still have home life to get back to, which can throw some distractions at you. So I don't love any of that. San Diego, meanwhile, is starting a road trip, and all they're doing is traveling up the coast to Northern California, as they've just been at home. So they're staying in the Pacific time zone. They have a little bit of momentum right now with a couple of series wins at home. It's a good spot for San Diego because I think that momentum can carry out on the road with them. And, of course, they're going to be focused as well, facing San Francisco. So I like how it sets up for San Diego, even though the starting pitching matchup is not in favor of San Diego here. But I think that a lot of the other factors are actually lining up nicely. San Francisco, yes, they have a very good bullpen, an elite bullpen, probably the best bullpen in Major League Baseball right now. But they had to use a lot of their bullpen yesterday. It was a close game, so they had to use a lot of their best relievers to finish the game off. And Birdsong never really goes that deep, so they had to relieve him as well. So they used a bunch of their relief pitchers yesterday. They used 5 relief pitchers, and it was 5 relief pitchers, and it was mostly their best relievers as well. So even though San Francisco does have a great bullpen, I think the bullpen scenario is a little bit of a wash in this one. And yes, San Diego did use a bunch of their relievers yesterday as well to finish the game off against Pittsburgh. They did use 5 relief pitchers as well. They used some of their best relievers as well. So I know it's a similar situation. Vasquez was out of the game early, but they did use like a couple more of like innings eater type of pitchers in relief. So they used a couple fewer of their high leverage arms, I would say. It's all a similar situation. In San Diego, I know their bullpen has kind of fallen off a little bit after they were great early in the season, but their bullpen is still quite good, and it's not that much worse than San Francisco's. So I think the bullpen situation is kind of even coming into this game almost, I would say. San Diego has the better offense, actually, so that's a little bit of an edge to them. San Francisco definitely has the better starting pitcher on the mound, but I think the situation counters it. And Kolek is pitching for the Padres. He's been okay, 4.11 ERA, 1.30 whip, which isn't that great. He's coming off one bad start against Miami. Kind of inexplicable. Yeah, he's not as hot as he was in those first 2 starts, that's for sure. He's not great. But overall, he's been decent. I mean, a 24-10 strikeout walk ratio is okay. Got to get those walk numbers down a little bit. But overall, he hasn't been that bad. He's allowed no home runs in all but one start against Seattle, which was the other start where he gave a bunch of runs. But again, getting tagged for 3 home runs, you're going to allow runs if that happens. So other than that, he's been pretty good. On his home road splits, he's actually been way better on the road than at home. 9.58 ERA at home and 1.33 on the road. I know it's a small sample size, but he's been way better on the road. But, of course, a lot of it was because those 2 bad starts were both at home against Miami and Seattle. But, again, all of his better starts have been on the road. So take from that what you will, but he has significant home road splits here for whatever reason. And up against San Francisco, Yes, he has bad numbers, but it's a small sample size, and not all of their guys have even seen him before. It's only an 8 at-bat sample size. Yeah, it's a bad 375 average, allowed 875 OPS, but Kolek, again, I mean, it's a very small sample size, so I think you have to weigh that accordingly. Like, I don't think you put that much stock into a small sample size like that. Logan Webb, on the other hand, I know he's a good pitcher. He's probably the best pitcher for the Giants. 2.82 ERA, 1.21 whip. His whip is a little bit high, but he's a grinder. He's been really good. I know he's in good form right now. 10 strikeouts in his last outing against Detroit. 34-6 strikeout walk ratio, 2.81 ERA. Yeah, in the last month, I mean, all of that is good. He's been good the entire season. Yeah, and he's probably the pitcher that goes the most innings in games at this point. And he's also been very good at home. I understand all that. 1.39 ERA at home, 3.95 on the road. So his splits indicate that he's better at home. Sure. So we are fading that here. But I think the situational spot sets up nicely. And he actually has not been good against San Diego in the past in a big 188 at-bat sample size. So the one thing that helps with the starting pitching matchup here, even though Webb is the better pitcher, is that San Diego is extremely familiar with him, whereas San Francisco is not very familiar with Kolek, and San Diego does have the better bats over San Francisco. So I think that kind of it balances it out a little bit. So Logan Webb, again, in a huge sample size, 188 at-bats. He has a good 38-8 strikeout walk ratio, but he's allowed a 314 average and 750 OPS to San Diego's bats, so they have hit him pretty well. Machado is 13 for 35 with a home run. Merrill is 5 for 7 off him. Sheets 5 for 10. So a lot of hitting going on here. A bunch of these guys have hit him fairly well over the course of their careers. Cronenworth 8 for 28. So take from all that what you will. Not a lot of home runs, except Machado does have one. Tatis also has one. But other than that, take from all that what you will. But again, I think when all these things start kind of balancing out a little bit, it looks like the starting pitching matchup gets balanced out a little bit as well there. You rely on what is the situation here, and I think the situation is a lot worse for the Giants. So we are going to go with San Diego here in this game. Let me see. Trying to just give you the market indicators real quick here. San Francisco is up from minus 170 to minus 172, so they're a pretty big favorite. It's certainly because Webb is on the mound here. So, yes, he is the better pitcher in general. But I think, again, a lot of that gets balanced out by everything else that I just said. 50% of the tickets are evenly split, but 59% of the cash coming in on San Diego. And I think the public still kind of likes San Francisco because they've been looking pretty good most of the season. So I think they still kind of have a public wave behind them, and their name, like, they just have a bigger name behind them than the Padres do, man. San Francisco, like, just the team history just kind of makes them a little bit more of a public team, even though recently San Diego has been the better team in recent years. All right, next up, got to get this done. Couple of final plays here. Minnesota is at the A's, and this is going to be the other play where I'm going to go a split run line and money line play, and that's on a favorite. I know Minnesota is a road favorite here, so you are laying a price with Minnesota, but I think there are a lot of reasons for it, man. I think Minnesota has a big edge in this game, maybe multiple big edges. So I'm recommending minus 1.5 on the run line at plus 110, half the bet, and then the other half on the money line at minus 155. Or if you just want to play the minus 1.5 spread bet at plus 110, play the whole thing at that price. I don't mind that either, but you do need them to win by 2 runs if you do that. If you're, I guess, a little bit less risk averse, you can do it this way with the split money line / run line play, which does mean that you will pay a little bit more, though, but you'll pay less than you have to just on a straight up money line price. But you'll have to pay more, of course, than you will just, for the spread bet. So determine, what you want to do, all of that. It depends how, juice tolerant you are and whatever. But the reason why this way is a little bit less risky is because if Minnesota wins by 1, you'll actually win money this way. Whereas if you play the straight up run line, you'll lose the bet, even though you're putting less into it. Nate, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Andrew, thank you, sir. Thanks for donating again. It's givesendgo.com/TowerGangToad. I am leaving that up for a little while. But if we look at this game, I think it's a huge mismatch, man. So figure out the way that you want to do it and play Minnesota either on the run line or the money line or the split money line / run line play, whichever you want to do. The A's, the homeless are returning home from a road trip. So again, it's a bad spot when you return home from a road trip. And yes, they lost every game on the road trip. But this A's team, they've been absolutely awful, dude. I mean, how many games have they won recently since, when is it? Let's take a look at this. Going all the way back to May 13th, starting with May 14th onward, they've won one game. They lost every game on this road trip, 6 in a row. They'd won one game against Philadelphia prior to that. They'd lost 11 games prior to that. So what is that again? So they've lost 17 out of their last 18 games. So, yeah, I mean, obviously that does mean that you're not really going to find value necessarily in fading the A's because they've been so bad. But I think there's no way they're going to win this game, to be honest. Hopefully I don't have to eat my words. But for the one thing, of course, they're returning up from a road trip, so that's a distracted spot. They're having to travel from Toronto all the way back to the Pacific Coast here with no days off. Certainly not an easy spot for a team to do that. The A's are playing in this AAA stadium that they're still not particularly familiar with, and they've been awful at home, especially their pitching. The A's have I believe they've allowed more runs to opposing offenses at home than the Rockies have this year, which is unbelievably bad. The A's have been horrendous at home this year, and that's where they are here. So all of that, starting out, this all doesn't look good for the A's. It's a distracted return home spot. As I always say, I mean, the Twins have been hot, so they are a good team. So does that mean the A's are not going to be totally distracted? Maybe. I mean, you'll get up for a game potentially against a pretty good Twins team, but still, I don't think it's a game where you're really going to get that excited for it necessarily. And in some ways, people are going to look at it and think, oh, well, they're back at home. They should bounce back a little bit from that bad road trip, right? Well, that's not the way that it works either, man. When you're playing bad and you're returning home from a road trip like that, a lot of times it hangs over into that return home, man. You just have, again, you have jet lag to deal with. You have home life to get back to. All this stuff comes into play, and it's not good, man. And on top of all that, you got to face Joe Ryan here. And the A's, I think the bullpen situation's a bit of a wash. I won't dive into the box score. I already looked at it earlier. The A's used, I think, a little bit more of their bullpen yesterday than Minnesota did. Minnesota actually, I do remember this. Minnesota only used one relief pitcher yesterday because Chris Paddock actually gave them a really good performance. Again, he got through 8 innings, so Minnesota's bullpen is pretty much saved right now. So Minnesota, not only do they have the way better bullpen, as the A's bullpen is atrocious. They've been the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball over the last month. They're one of the worst overall. A's bullpen has been horrific, and Minnesota's is actually quite good, and Minnesota's is more rested, so we get a bullpen edge here. Offensively, I guess the A's get the nod there. They have the better bats slightly, but it's not really that significant. Again, Minnesota, the bullpen, very rested because Paddock basically saved them yesterday. And I was still right, by the way, that Seattle still won the game behind Castillo, even though Paddock actually outpitched Castillo yesterday. Seattle still beat them 2-1. Despite an epic performance from Paddock yesterday. But Minnesota's bullpen is saved coming into this game. The A's used more of their bullpen yesterday, which is already not a good bullpen at all. So Minnesota has a huge edge there. And they got a huge edge in the starting pitching matchup, man. I would say Joe Ryan is the best pitcher in Minnesota's starting rotation, even though Pablo Lopez has been quite good as well. Paddock is actually pitching well as well. I like Bailey Ober a bit as well, but Joe Ryan is the guy, man. 2.57 ERA, 0.83 whip. And yes, I know he's going to have to go to a hitter-friendly park here in the A's stadium here, but Ryan is so good that I don't think he's going to do that badly in this A's stadium. You do have to worry a little bit because his ground ball to fly ball ratio is pretty extreme, but part of this is because he strikes out so many guys that guys are just not making contact with him. So you have to worry about the fly balls a little bit. He's allowed 8 home runs this season, but that's not a ton, and he only allowed 3 in the month of May. Hasn't allowed more than 1 in any start going all the way back to this weird Atlanta start where he gave up 3 home runs. But other than that, I mean, he's been excellent this entire year pretty much. 33-5 strikeout walk ratio, 1.86 ERA in the month of May. That's all really excellent as well. He only allowed more than one earned run one time, going all the way back to late April. April 20th was the last time he allowed more than that. And if you throw that start out, the trend goes all the way back to early April. He's actually only allowed more than one earned run 3 times all year. He's been excellent. 72-9 strikeout walk ratio over the course of the entire season. Really, really good. Well over 1 strikeout per inning. Well below 1 hit per inning. Only 43 hits allowed in 63 innings. Excellent, excellent stuff from Joe Ryan. Against the A's in his career, it's a small sample size, too, so a lot of these A's hitters actually haven't even seen him before. So they're getting a guy like Ryan, who's a really, really good pitcher, like bordering on elite pitcher, and some of the A's hitters haven't even seen him before. Soderstrom has hit him well, 2 for 5 with a home run, but other than that, nobody else really has. Overall, the A's are 3 for 17 off him, and 2 of those hits are Soderstrom. 176 average, 616 OPS because he has walked two of them, including 1 walk to Soderstrom, 1 home run. But that's just one guy in this lineup that has hit Ryan well. Ryan has been really good overall, man. And he's actually been a little bit better on the road than at home with a 2.31 road ERA compared to 2.89 at home. But he's been really good both ways. Again, it is this A's park, though, so it might hurt him a little bit pitching in this park because he's a fly ball pitcher. I'm a little bit worried that the total is really high because the totals are always really high pretty much in this A's park because the home runs do happen in this park. But Ryan, I think, is good enough, and his strikeout rate is high enough that he should be able to limit the damage enough. And he's going up against Luis Severino, who has not been good this year. 3.89 ERA, 1.23 whip. I mean, those numbers are okay, but I really just don't think he's been that good. 4.82 ERA in May with a 21-9 strikeout walk ratio is not great. It's not a high strikeout rate for 28 innings. Didn't allow any home runs in that span, though. So that's the one crazy thing is that even though he's pitching in this A's park, he's actually only allowed 4 home runs all year. So that is something to keep in mind. He hasn't allowed a lot of home runs. Hasn't allowed any going all the way back to April 7th, which is absolutely insane, actually, that he hasn't allowed a home run since then. But I will counter that, not only by the fact that he's been walking way too many guys, but his home road splits are still extreme. He's been awful at home, even though he hasn't allowed those a home run for that long. All 4 of the home runs he's allowed have been at home in this park. He's allowed a 6.2 ERA at home, or he has a 6.2 ERA at home with a 274 opponent batting average, and on the road, 0.87 ERA, 189 opponent batting average. He's been way, way better on the road. Hasn't been good at home in this hitter-friendly park. I mean, home runs allowed or not, it just hasn't been that good for him at all. So none of that is good. And then up against Minnesota, what do we got going on here? He's been mediocre, I guess. In 54 at-bats, he has allowed 3 home runs to them. 259 average isn't that bad, but an 804 OPS is pretty high because he has walked 5 guys. Correa has actually hit him really well, 5 for 16 with a home run, 3 walks against him as well. So Correa does damage against him. So Minnesota has hit him decently. So I definitely prefer Joe Ryan over Severino. So I think Minnesota's got a situational edge here. They got a bullpen edge. They got a bullpen rest edge. And they got a starting pitching edge here. So Minnesota is the way we're going in that game, man. If we look at the market read here, let's take a look at it. The money looks like it is agreeing with it to some degree. They're up from minus 153 to minus 155. I know they're going to be a slightly public team here because nobody wants Oakland or the A's. 54% of tickets, but 60% of the cash on Minnesota because I think the public doesn't really want Minnesota either. I don't think laying a price like this on the road, they tend to not want to lay prices like that. So I think it's justified in this case. So Minnesota will be the play. With all of that being considered there, with how bad Oakland is at home, how bad Severino is at home, the spot isn't good at all. So all that being considered, I think it is a mismatch. So I expect Minnesota to win that game. Mets are at the Dodgers. Let's finish this off. The Mets are coming off not playing particularly well against Colorado. So going out, they're starting a road trip. They are having to travel all the way to the Pacific Coast here with no time off. So that's a little bit of a concern. Going from, East Coast to West Coast here. But I think they are going to be focused. I mean, when you have nice momentum here, you did just have kind of an easy series against the Rockies. You won the series. You got momentum here. I think they swept the Rockies, if I'm not mistaken. So that momentum usually does carry. And, of course, you're going to be focused when you're playing the Dodgers. So I think it is a positive spot for the Mets going out on the road, starting a road trip. You want to get it off on the right foot. You're going to be focused on L.A. And L.A., they just came off a series against the Yankees, man. And it's kind of crazy that both teams in that series lost the game where their ace was starting. So the Yankees lost the game with Fried, and the Dodgers lost the game last night with Yamamoto. It's just really crazy. So the Dodgers lost. The Yankees finally got a win against this Dodgers team that beat them in the World Series last year, but the Yankees didn't win the series, so they still didn't really exactly get their revenge there. The Dodgers lost last night, but again, teams that play on Sunday night, I wish the Yankees were playing today because they would be a fade, man. The Yankees with a big win over the Dodgers last night. If they were playing today, they would be such a fade. It would be awesome. You want to fade those teams, especially if a team wins a big game like that on the road on the Sunday night game on ESPN. That's fade material right there, man. The Yankees still could be in a fade spot tomorrow. We'll have to look at what the spot is that they're in. But unfortunately, they're not playing today. The Dodgers, yes, they're in a bad spot as well because they played last night. But they at least are not traveling. They're staying at home, so it takes away a little bit from that. So even though the Dodgers did play last night, it was a big game. That does make this a bad spot because they're coming off that game against the Yankees. But this is still another big game. They are playing the Mets here, and they did just lose the last series to the Mets on the road not long ago. So I don't think the Dodgers are going to be in some sort of like hangover spot necessarily and lose focus here against the Mets. So I don't think it's a spot where you really want to fade the Dodgers. So I think we got to stay away from it, even though sometimes I would look at this and say, yeah, we do want to fade the Dodgers because they have the quick turnaround time having to play last night. They really don't have a lot of time to get ready for this game. But in this case, again, the Mets are traveling cross country. It is a positive spot for them because it's a focus spot when you start a road trip. But the Dodgers, get to stay at home, and the pitching matchup really does not look good for the Mets to me, man. Paul Blackburn is going to be making the start for the Mets. This is going to be his first start of the season. He's been not very good throughout his career. 4.85 ERA, 1.41 whip. That doesn't inspire confidence. Last year, he actually pitched okay for Oakland. When they were not homeless yet. He had a 1.16 whip with them, which was pretty good. But if you look at his career stats, that was kind of an outlier. And when he went to the Mets later in the season, he was not good in 5 starts with a 1.56 whip and 5.18 ERA. That wasn't good. He only had 9 starts with Oakland. So the part of the season where he looked good, it wasn't a huge sample size. So I think we have to basically say that we don't think Blackburn is very good. Over his career, 4.85 ERA, 1.41 whip. I'm going to, go with that and say he's just not that good, so I don't expect much from Blackburn here. We don't know how he's going to be coming off a long DL stint when he hasn't pitched yet this year, although, again, I usually like to say, well, you have a veteran pitcher coming off the DL. Usually means they're ready to go and they should be good, but in this spot, this is a really tough spot to be in. Coming off the DL and you get to face the Dodgers right away. You're going to be pumped up for it, but Blackburn's just not the type of guy I don't think he's going to come in and really, you can't rely on him to have a good game at any point, especially not against a good offense like the Dodgers. In his career, his numbers are good and bad against the Dodgers, I guess. They're only 6 for 23 off him, which is a 261 average, but he has 5 strikeouts, 4 walks, and overall a 936 OPS because especially Ohtani has damaged him. 4 for 9 with a double, a home run, 3 walks to 3 strikeouts. But that's most of the damage. So some of the Dodgers hitters haven't even really seen him before. The rest of the guys haven't actually hit him that well. So it is really mostly Ohtani that's done the damage off him, but I still don't know what we can expect out of Blackburn at all. I don't think you can really put your money on him here. Dustin May is pitching for the Dodgers. He's been okay. 4.2 ERA, 1.24 whip. 36 to 8 strikeout walk ratio in May was actually pretty good. May was decent in May as far as that was concerned. That 4.45 ERA was actually a little bit misleading, I think, based on that, because he allowed 6 home runs in the month. 6 out of the 7 that he's allowed this year were all in the month of May. He's got to stop allowing home runs, man. So that's the one issue with May. He allows too many home runs, so he's got to keep that in check. Up against the Mets here, they have a good offense. He's done okay against them in 28 at-bats. 4-3 strikeout walk ratio is not that good, but he hasn't really allowed a lot of hard hits. A 250 average and 644 OPS. So May has actually been okay against them. And in that previous series, May did not pitch in that previous series against the Mets, so they don't have any recent history against him. So May might do okay for those reasons, and he actually has been better at home as well. If you look at his home road splits, he has a 2.96 home ERA this year, 5.4 on the road, with a 259 average allowed on the road and 204 at home. So May has been better at home. So all that being considered, the Dodgers are favored for a reason. They have the better starting pitcher here. Situationally, yeah, the Dodgers have the quick turnaround time. I don't know if that's enough to make it that bad of a spot. The money looks like it is coming in on the Dodgers, up from -150 to -162. 83% of tickets, 95% of the cash coming in on the Dodgers. So it's not a spot where I want to fade the team from the Sunday night game. Usually you do want to fade them, but in this case, I don't think I would. I think the Dodgers have a little bit of an upper hand here, man. I think they have a significant starting pitching edge in this game, to be honest. So that worries me a little bit as far as if you want to try to fade them here, even though the situational spot is a bit better for the Mets here. So keeping all that in mind, that's going to do it for me for now, man. I've been thinking I do maybe want to put out an episode where I talk about NFL season win totals, because those came out recently, and I know we're getting to them a little bit late. The lines have already been out for about a week, and they've been moving. But if you want me to make a video where I kind of talk about some of the win totals, I could do that. It might be a long video, though, where I get really autistic. So I don't know if I really want to do it, but maybe I'll just make it quicker and just give out some opinions on it. I don't know, but I'll have to gather my thoughts on it. So maybe I'll do that on one of these nights, maybe even tonight. I don't know yet. I'll have to decide. But the plays today that I'm giving out on the show are these two money line, run line, split plays. If you want to make this one a money line play only on San Diego, I don't hate that either. At +1.5 on the run line and -140, split with a +150 money line, and Minnesota -1.5 at +110, split money line -155 are the two plays that I gave out there on the show. That's going to do it for me. Towering Toad on Twitter. GiveSendGo.com/TowerGangToad if you want to just trickle in a little bit more support there. Every bit helps, man. So thank you guys for all that. While I'm in this transition period here. Hey, it's the month to be transitioning, isn't it? And then what else we got? Patreon.com/TowerGang. Of course, support the Tower Gang podcast. And get your Bohemian Grove tickets and go see us live in the end of June, or June 20th and 21st, I believe, in Central Florida. That's going to do it. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.